What's up, little girly girls? Welcome back to the channel. Before I start this video off, I want to say two things. One of which is I did change my channel name from Just Puppet to Nuppets. I just like this new name more. But besides that, I just want to say something about this COPPA situation. So if you hear me swearing a little bit more throughout the video, I'm sorry. I don't want to, but if you haven't heard, the FTC is suing YouTube for stuff, and Susan Wabajak pretty much gloating all of her 6-year-old viewers to the internet, and yeah, pretty much data mining is going on for kids under the age of 13. Something was signed in the 90s about that, but I don't fully know. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm sorry for swearing. I'm just scared, and I don't want to be fined $42,000. But besides that, maybe grab some popcorn and a drink, and let's get into this Killing Joke review. Peace. And one more thing, there are spoilers ahead, so if you haven't read the book yet, click off now, I warned you. But if you don't feel like buying The Killing Joke, or you just don't want to read it, that's what I'm here for, and like I said, enjoy. So The Killing Joke is a beautifully written book by Alan Moore and illustrated by Brian Boland. It was released in 1988 to critical reception, but one thing that is quite obvious throughout this book is that it is not a Batman nor a Barbara Gordon book, it is a Joker book. And some might be discouraged to read this book by hearing that, but it is every bit as enjoyable, if not more, as a normal Batman book. It dives into the psyche of the Joker, and it provides as close of an origin story to the Joker than any other book that I know of or that I have read. The tone of it is unsettling all throughout, and it kind of holds on to you as you finish the story. I finished it all in one day because of that. It just kept holding on to me. It was so interesting that I didn't feel like stopping. Even though the story is short, it's kind of uncommon for me to read that much in one day. But yeah, it's just very unsettling, and it gives you a nice tone to think of throughout. So the story starts with Batman pulling up to Arkham Asylum, and it shows him walking through the hallways, and he goes to talk to the Joker. He has a conversation with him about how he thinks the Joker and he will end. He says perhaps he will kill the Joker, perhaps the Joker will kill him. Batman's pretty much saying he doesn't want that to happen, he wants everything to work out. But he realizes that Joker isn't responding, so Batman pretty much says, "Answer me." And it was someone else who was in there who had like makeup on to be like the Joker, and he was just impersonating him while the Joker was out of prison. And after that, you pretty much cut to the Joker at a carnival, or at a, what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, a carnival. Pretty much, he's talking to someone about this carnival, and the guy's pretty much saying, "Hey, dude, this is dumb. Why do you want to buy this? Like, I'm just being honest." And then, pretty much, the Joker gives him the Joker talks, and the guy's a permanent smile. But shortly after that, it cuts to the Joker and his wife before he was the Joker. He comes home, and he went to like a comedic stand-up place, I guess. And he was pretty much telling her how it didn't work out and how he thinks nothing's wrong. His wife had a positive attitude towards him, saying it's okay, but Joker didn't think it was. So pretty much he freaks out on her and then like apologizes, but the point is he was very unstable at this point of his life. Shortly after that, cuts to Batman in the Batcave, and he's talking to Alfred about the Joker. But shortly after that, cuts to Jim Gordon and Barbara, and they're just having a conversation. Jim's flipping through like a book of the news or what's going on, and it had the first appearance of Batman, which was kind of neat to look at. But then there was a knock at their door, so Barbara went to answer it, and it wasn't her friend, it wasn't a cat lady, it was the Joker. So pretty much the Joker, he was there with a bunch of his goons, and he shot Barbara through the spine, paralyzing her later on at least. It doesn't say that right away, but he shoots her through the spine, and then Gordon's just like, "No, why?" And Joker's men beat him up. And Joker says it's to prove a point, and the point Joker is trying to prove, which I'll get into more in a minute, is that anybody can go insane with one day, which is what happened with the Joker. Like I said, more in a minute. But after that, it cuts to the Joker's past again. And it pretty much shows Joker in a bar, and there are a bunch of mobsters, and they're kind of just pressuring him, and then they're forcing him to break into Ace Chemicals. I forget which right now, but I read this a while ago, but I know that was into Ace Chemicals. And they show him his red hood, and he was kind of just confused, but it just showed his red hood. And this scene was very artistic, and like it was very expressive. Like you could see everything that's going on. Like I said earlier, unsettling. It's very, very unsettling. But after that, it cuts to Batman in a hospital, and it turns out he's visiting Barbara Gordon. And he wakes Barbara up, and she's freaking out as soon as she wakes up. She says, "Bruce," and she's kind of like having a panic attack, just crying, and she was really emotional. It's kind of a sad moment. But then she's talking about her father and what happened. So Batman pretty much is going after them. But then it cuts to Gordon, and there are a bunch of like little minion babies, I guess. I don't know a better way to describe them. And they like strip Gordon down too, and he was just really confused. He was like, "What? Stop, you can't do this." And then they just tase him in the back, and he's like, "Ah." God. And they drag him by a neck collar to the Joker on like a throne of a bunch of baby dolls, which is kind of creepy. But then Joker's explaining his point again, and then it cuts to the little baby minions throwing Gordon into a roller coaster. A roller coaster cart is the word I'm looking for. And then the roller coaster cart closes behind into like this little theme house. If you don't get the point yet, like I said, it's a Joker origin story. So shortly after that roller coaster thing that Gordon went into, it showed Joker's past again when he was a normal human. And it showed the mobsters that gave him his red hood, and they were just telling him when this situation is going on, when it's going to happen, and what to do. And pretty much right after that, some cops were there, and they called the Joker out, and he was kind of like scared because he thought they knew he was just being super paranoid. But it turned out that the Joker's wife was dead. She was killed. And that just really made him sad, and the mobsters like were there, and they were like, "Gee, that's terrible." But they still said, "Hey, you still have to come with us because you just have to." And Joker was just super mad at that, I guess. Well, no, he wasn't mad. He was just feeling very broken. Because at this point, he wasn't mad. He was just a shy person, and everything was hurting him, I think. But it showed how emotional he was, and it kind of gets you to sympathize for the Joker, shockingly. This book is really expressive, like I said, and the origin story in here of the Joker is like beautifully done, and I just admire it so much. But pretty much it cuts back to Gordon in this roller coaster ride. It shows him going through with the torture babies, and it shows like these screens in the roller coaster of Joker singing a creepy song, and he's dancing with these people. And it was just really freaky. But then it showed Barbara naked and crying. It didn't really show her naked, but you get just. It showed her like crying when her spine was shot, when she was stripped down. And he was just like, he was so mad. And then Joker finished his song, and it cuts to Batman interrogating a bunch of people. He was pretty much going throughout places. He was asking criminals. He was asking like hookers. He asked the Penguin if he knew where Joker was. He was just on the hunt for Joker. And he eventually gets his invitation from the Joker on the GCPD rooftop, which was dumb, but whatever. He found the Joker, and then it shows the Joker again talking to Jim, and he gets him up, and then pretty much he says he's boring, and he the Joker puts Gordon in a cage, and then it goes back to the past Joker again. And it shows Joker normal outside of the Ace Chemicals building, and it pretty much showed him putting the helmet on, but he saw a double of everything, and it was red for him, and he just had a hard time. He said it was heavy. And then as they were going through, a cop was there, and he saw them, and he said freeze, and they thought he was framing, or the mobsters thought that the Joker was framing them, so they got mad. They were like, you asshole, you said there is no security. And then one of the mobsters literally gets shot in the head, and the other one keeps running with him. And then Batman's there, and the people are like, geez, what? And they're just really confused, so, it showed Joker confronting Batman, or Batman confronting Joker, and Batman says, so Red Hood, we meet again, because apparently the Red Hood gang was established for a while, and, yeah, pretty much Batman thought that the Joker was Red Hood, whoever the main leader of the Red Hoods were. He was like, no, don't punish me, don't come closer or I'll jump, and he jumps into the vat of acid. I think most people know this story, but Batman runs off, I guess, and then it shows Joker coming out, and he takes his helmet off, and he's just stumbling around, and then he starts laughing, like, just ecstatically laughing, and that's where the iconic image of the Joker pulling his scalp back with the bleeding eyes and stuff comes into play. That cuts back to present day, and it just shows all the madmen at the circus and the Joker laughing at Gordon in the cage. And then I think Batman, like, tripped an alarm or something, but pretty much there was this fat lady and a super skinny guy that the Joker and, like I said, the crew of freaks were laughing at Jim, and he scared them off, and Batman gets out of his Batmobile, and then he says the statement from earlier, hello, I came to talk. Well, he doesn't say it. It was just subconscious. And he was just going through that, and Joker was laughing at him, and it's a kind of a fun fight. Batman dives at him and stuff. Joker sprays his acid flower at Batman's arm. Joker runs away into the funhouse, and then it closes behind him, and Batman confronts Jim, and he's like, it's okay. And then Jim wasn't broken, he was fully fine, and I think that's why the Joker got super mad over this, because the Joker failed to prove his point. But then Gordon says, I want this done by the book, which is, like, super just crazy, because the Joker crippled his daughter and showed him nude photos of her when she was crying on the ground. It's just awful. Well, he said by the book, and Batman said, I can't promise that, really. Or he said, I'll do my best. That's what he said. And then it shows just Joker's face throughout the run house, and, like, a bunch of scary people with, like, sharp teeth, and yeah, it was just showing that. And then Batman almost falls into a trap where there are spikes lined with blood because people fell into it. And then Joker's talking to Batman throughout, just saying how he feels about this and how he thinks everything is so special between them, and he just wants Batman to understand. Then Batman realizes where Joker is, and Batman, like, jumps through a glass where he is. And he just starts pummeling him, like, I don't know a better way to put it. He just keeps pummeling him, and then Joker takes out this poison needle, like, lined with Joker toxin, and he pulls down Batman's cowl, and he didn't see Batman's face, but he just pulls it down to distract him, and then Joker beats Batman over the head with a 2x4, and then it shatters over his head, and Batman's just kind of, like, recovering, and when he kicked that poison needle away, at least this is my opinion on this part, I think Batman thought his hand was poked with it, and he was looking at his hand, and then he realized he could have just died that easily, and he just got, like, super mad. Like, you could see he was 10 times more mad than he was the scene before because of that, because he thought he almost just had a pointless death, and that just really made him mad. And then it pauses, like it's a brief silence, and it shows Batman walking out to the Joker, and Joker pulls a gun on him. I'm just gonna skip ahead a little bit of this dialogue because some of it was unnecessary, but it shows there being a moment of silence, and Batman gives that speech from earlier about he doesn't want them to kill each other. And then Joker tells his very iconic line, and pretty much in the line, well, it's a joke. He says there are two guys in the loony bin, or the asylum, and one night they planned to escape. They successfully made it to the rooftop of the asylum to escape it. And the first one made it across a bunch of rooftops to civilization and escaped the loony bin. And then the second inmate, though, was too scared to. He did not want to go across because he thought he would fall. And the first one, or the first person in the loony bin who escaped, said, "Here, I'll hold a flashlight for you across the rooftops so you can walk across the beam of light." And then the second inmate said that he's not stupid, he'll just turn it off when I'm going halfway across. And then Batman pretty much puts its hand on Joker's shoulder, and then they just both start dying. And what I think this scene represents is Batman being the first one in the asylum. He escaped it. He escaped lunacy. He escaped insanity. And he wanted Joker to escape with him. And that's why the beam of light comes into play. And it shows Batman pretty much putting the beam of light across. And Joker doesn't want to go across because the second inmate was scared to fall. So, pretty much, Batman was the first and Joker was the second inmate, which was a really neat comparison. But, when they both started dying laughing, there was this beam of light on the floor, and it showed Batman and Joker's feet and Batman's cape. And then it showed this beam of light, like, stretching across the ground, I guess. And then all of the laughing abruptly stopped, and the beam of light disappeared. And I think that represents Batman pretty much killing the Joker. He turned off the light. He let him fall when he was halfway across. And that part was just... I think I've put that together in my head over time, and it's just really shocking to think of it like this. So this might be an Elseworld story, even though the idea of Barbara being crippled goes on. So I think it's in canon, but the fact that Joker most likely dies at the end is kind of dark, but yeah, I don't think, unless it does cut into the time when Batman had the Mobius chair, and then this was like the second Joker because there's supposed to be three. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy, and I really enjoyed this book. And even though I did do this review on it, I think you should read into it no matter what, because it's just so good. Like I said, it's chilling, it's disturbing throughout, but it's not too disturbing to where you don't want to read it. It's just something that I'm surprised by how good it is. And it being released in 1988, for back then, the standards, they're so much different from now, but I have to say, this is one of the most great books. This is like one of the greatest books I've ever read. This is like my top 5 comic stories that I've read. And this is coming from Alan Moore. Like, this could be above Watchmen for me. And Alan Moore wrote Watchmen, obviously. But, yeah, I just think this is a really good book. And even though if you're watching to this point, you already know the story of this, I think you should still read it because it's a beautifully written book. And I enjoyed it. And I think you would. And maybe share this video with your friends if you enjoyed, because I don't have a lot of subscribers. Pray for me when COPPA happens. And yeah, Mel, love you.